Hi, everybody. Will here with a special surprise for you all. I have a new feature. It's called the Coach's Corner with George Alston. So he's always given me advice, so now he's going to give everybody advice. So sit back and relax, or try to relax.
Coach's Corner with Will Alexander and George Alston. Brought to you by Pro Plan and K9 Chronic.
But here we are on Coach's Corner with George Alston. How are you doing today, George?
I'm doing just great, for an old toad.
Good to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent. And you have your iconic yellow sweater on.
Well, that no people wouldn't recognize me if I didn't have the yellow sweater on.
Right, yes, it's your teaching cloak
It's
or
my
something.
uniform for teaching.
So we're gonna. This is the first episode of this feature, Coach's Corner. So we're gonna start off with you had this section in your owner handler versus professional handler section about tunnel vision.
Well, yes, this is the what a handler will use tunnel vision and wide angle vision at the same time. It's imperative to be able to compete on a high basis to do this. Most people stand outside the ring talking, chatting, having a good old time, not paying any attention to their dog or to their competition or what can happen. They should have tunnel vision on their dog to read the dog's um, manner at that particular time and to see it change. And this can start on their way to the ring or prior to the ring. But that dog's um, is going to change the way he feels, the way he stands, his mental attitude will change several times during that time the dog's going to be shown.
Well,
And
it's
you
just
have
like
to have
anything else. It's like we all get distractions, so they're gonna get
yes,
distractions.
dog will get distracted. You want to see if the 10 flopping is going to. I know one time I'm standing outside the Best in Show ring at Baltimore Kennel Club. They start to play the national anthem. I'm showing Sully Lynn's Private Stock. And it was so loud and it was really bothering him, and he totally freaked out. I picked him up and ran him into the next area, shut the door so he couldn't hear it. National anthem was over. We came back in. He was 100%, and we went Best in Show. But if I had stayed there and not
Right.
reacted to that, it wouldn't have happened. So you have to have tunnel vision on your dog.
That's
You
almost
also
being proactive over reactive because you thought
what?
about it. That's more like being you were proactive instead of reactive.
Absolutely. Well,
You got him out of the situation.
I was a firm believer in being proactive on a dog because just like hey, when you ride a horse, you have to be proactive because if you respond to what the horse gives you, he's going to run away on you. Same thing with a dog. If you are proactive with your dog in the ring, then you that does it doesn't give him time to follow you up because
I find
he's
that
thinking what does he want me to do next. So what happens also, you have to have wide angle vision at the same time, which means you're standing outside the ring and you see you should be watching your competition and see what and you should know what dogs you have to beat, the pros and cons of each dog before you get in the ring or within the first 30 seconds after you walk in that ring.
Well, not only that, George, is that you're outside the ring, anything can happen. Like I've seen fights start, I've seen
Oh,
dogs,
absolutely.
and
Some
dogs
some
react to
drunk,
those things, and we got to be careful with those things.
yeah, some drunk is coming by. Somebody's coming through, rushing through with a with a bull mastiff is going to run on top of your beagle. I mean, that's not good. You've got
Well,
to do a
well,
block
exactly.
hunt.
I was at ringside one time with a English setter special, and I was just sitting there watching. The obedience ring was next to me, so I was watching the obedience ring, and this Great Dane jumped over the ropes and went at a Belgian in the obedience ring. Well, nothing really happened. They stopped it. But I turned around, my English setter was watching. Well, she was a mess. She was a mess because she saw this Great Dane attack the Belgian Shepherd, and
That's right.
I had to get her out of that situation. It took her a good 5 minutes, but if I looked at her immediately instead of seeing that, I could have been proactive and got her attention away from the Great Dane. But I was just a kid then.
But even when you're in the ring, you have to have tunnel vision on your dog because your dog is going to change his attitude. And let's say it's a class of 10. Your dog's going to change his attitude 2 or 3 times in that ring while he's in the ring while you're showing that dog.
Oh, for sure.
And so you have to have tunnel vision. But also you have to look at your competition. And there was one instance that I had was a where I had both sides of it working at the same time. It was at a show that I was showing an Irish setter, pouring rain. So we had to do her after being exercised and everything. Of course, we had to blow out her feathers and clean her up and everything. And after we won the breed and out in the rain, then we had to do it again, which took wear and tear on her. And then we went in and we won the group, or she won the group, and then we have to come out and then go into best in show. So we had to do it quick. So she had a lot of time being blow dried and a lot of work done on her, which is tiring on a dog standing there for any
Sure.
length of time.
Yeah.
I saw this, and so we went up to the ring, and she's just standing there, and she was usually very vibrant before going in the ring, and she's standing there like a dumb nut. And I looked over at my competition, which was the number one dog in the country, German Shepherd, shown by my good friend Jimmy Moses. But his dog was the last group, and his dog was tired too. And I saw him standing there trying to rev him up, and it wasn't working. So what do? I handed my Irish to the owner, said, hold her, and I went and played hide and seek. I would go and I'd go behind people and then I'd pop up and I look and then I go back and I hide again. Well, it came time for us to go into best in show. She's all revved up. Where the hell did I go? She was on fire. Jimmy's dog ran out of gas. We went best in show. But I saw reading her and then reading my competition. And oh, by the way, the sun came out for best in show. It wasn't raining.
Always does. We hope.
So, but you have to uh, also that wide angle vision, you're reading the judge also, because the judge gives you clues as to where he's putting his emphasis. Uh, most of the time we were able to figure out, or under judges that we knew where their emphasis was. But if it was a new judge, you have to have wide angle vision on that judge, watch where he puts his hands, watch where he goes back to. Does he put his hands on bad parts, or does he put his hands on good parts?
And that's easy
Um,
to, like, you can say that, but it's some handlers, they have to differentiate the good parts and bad parts themselves. They might not be able to figure that out that quickly.
well, this is true, but this is an example. Um, we had an Irish setter judge, an old German fellow. He was judging Irish setters, and it was back in the heyday of the Irish setter, and it was an open dog class of 25 and at Boardwalk Kennel Club. And so he goes over all the dogs and he comes down the line. And I was at the end of the line, and he's putting his hands on the dog's shoulders, and he's throwing some out of the ring and telling some to go over where the stay in the ring. And I'm watching this, and this judge is taking dogs with shoulders like a bull mastiff and keeping them in the ring, and the dogs with the good shoulders he's throwing out.
That doesn't mean that
I
all
took
mastiffs have
my
bad shoulders.
he came to put his hands on my dog's shoulders, and I jammed that dog's neck back in between his shoulders, and instead of them being that wide, they were that wide. Go to front of line. 5-point major, bingo. But that was using wide angle vision and then knowing what my dog had.
Yeah. Well, you got to look at all angles, I guess, for a dog show when
Absolutely.
you're
But
watching.
these people that stand outside the ring and talking, and I'll tell you where part of that came from. One of the greatest for this was Jane Forsyth. I mean, she was a multitasker. She could have tunnel vision on her dog, tunnel vision on, I mean, wide angle vision on everything's going on. She's standing outside the ring and talk to people at the same time. And she would talk to her competition, and they say, "Oh, good, the famous Jane Forsyth is talking to me," and they're not paying any attention what's going on whatsoever. And it was she was the greatest for this. But this she started doing this when I worked for her. It was I knew enough that when I started competing against her, when I went on my own, I didn't pay any attention to it, but I knew what was going on. Okay, I have one thing to say. Everybody remember, dogs are folks.
They are, folks, and so are we. Thanks, George. Thank you, George. It looks like I'm going to go play hide and seek right now myself. Anyway, if you want to send George a question or a comment, send it to dogshowtips@gmail.com, and in the subject, put Coach's Corner. We'll see you next time.